So, did I hear that right? We're not supposed to prepare? Because this was kind of a busy week, so I'm just gonna... No, I'm just kidding. I had a really interesting moment with the 4th, 5th, and 6th graders this Wednesday night with the Club 456 group. We played a game of freezer, unfreezer tag, where everybody was it. And that kind of blew their minds a little bit, like, what are we supposed to do, you know? And I said, well, you have the power to freeze or unfreeze someone, no matter what. And so it was kind of a social experiment. Who's gonna, you know, walk past and freeze somebody, or who's going to just not unfreeze them? So it was interesting. Afterwards, we had a discussion about power, and if you had any power, what would it be? And some of them said, well, I'd like to be invincible, or I'd like to know everything. I'd like to read minds or fly. And it was really fun. They teach me a lot. But mostly it taught me that we want to be in control, and we're not in control. Our gospel reading says we're not in control. Our stones will be thrown down as the temple stones were thrown down. Our hopes and our dreams and the walls we build to protect them will be thrown down. The jewels we adorn ourselves with, the makeup we wear, and the masks that we wear to hide who we are, all will be thrown down. The reading says, and they asked him, "Teacher, when will this be? And what will be the sign that this is about to take place?" Now, I often find myself saying, why do you ask questions? You know you're not going to get the answer that you want from Jesus. His answer has 4 parts. Don't go after false prophets. Don't be afraid. Don't prepare, but don't lose faith too. There are false prophets around us all over the place, especially around the holidays. Buy this and you'll be happy. Magazines and commercials tell us how to act, what to wear. Heck, there's Christmas trees up. We just had Halloween, people. I don't know what's going on with that. Maybe it's a Texas thing, but I think it happens everywhere, so. Even some preachers speak words of prosperity rather than naming realities. We all want things to be painless, or at least easier. Jesus doesn't offer false hope. Jesus offers hard truths. Suffering and death are a part of life, living life fully. The world tells us that life should be easy, but it's not. Raising kids isn't easy. Marriage isn't easy. Loss and sickness are never easy. Looking at the stones in our lives after they've been thrown down is never easy. But Jesus never said it was going to be easy. Jesus doesn't say, leave your possessions, don't bury your dead, take up your cross and follow me. It'll be easy. No, quite the opposite. Jesus says, not only will you suffer, but you will suffer in my name. Through this nightmare vision of what is to come, Jesus says, don't be afraid. How do we do that? How can we not be afraid? When death and destruction are all around us, when the waves crash and people in the Philippines lose their lives and their homes, when fear and foreboding surround us, whenever we turn on the news, when all it takes to turn our stomachs to knots is to read the headlines. No wonder there are people out there stocking up and building bunkers for Armageddon. There are lots of reasons to be afraid, to feel like the world is spiraling out of control. But we do our best to maintain control, to prepare for the worst and hope for the best, is what the saying goes. But Jesus answers with, do not prepare. I don't know about you, but I'm a planner. I make lists. Who makes lists here? Yeah. We're a rare breed, but it's important to us. We need our lists. And even if I'm given an entire day to write a sermon or do something else, I generally use half of the day to write the list of what I'm about to do. So planning can be a detriment as well as a gift. All of the ways I've been asked to prepare these past 2 weeks is don't prepare. This past 2 weeks have taught me a lot on internship, starting with going on the Via de Cristo weekend. The word was expect the unexpected. And I said, okay, what does that mean? It could be anything. I don't know. That's not on my list. All right. But there was a song that someone sang there. It was Listen for His Whisper. And when we had moments of silence, I was brought back to that song. Listen for His whisper. Sometimes God speaks to us in ways that we're not expecting. And sometimes that unexpected does turn out to be a joy. I also just got back from the youth retreat this past weekend, actually last night, and I was asked to lead a workshop on prayer, but they gave me the binder about 5 minutes beforehand and said, go. Okay. But what ended up happening was there were counselors waiting in the wings to help, and we were able to get the station set up, and it all went very smoothly. And of course, when I asked the kids, what are some ways that you pray that are active and not just folding your hands and sitting still, they blew me away. So it was the unexpected that did touch me at that weekend. And all will be provided in that sense. I was also driving home last night in unfamiliar territory in a car that wasn't mine, trying to use a GPS that I didn't understand. And I thought, wow, I'm really not prepared for this at all. And there was a stranger that pulled me over and said, your lights aren't even on. So I was like, okay. I think sometimes you have to let go and just hope for the best. I ended up at Walmart twice, but I got back to the church finally, and then I set the alarm off. So things happen. But it's not always easy to not be prepared, but you get home eventually. And our hope lies in the not knowing. When our stones will be thrown down, we don't know. Oftentimes, our stones are thrown down, and it forces us to think or act in a different way, to step outside of our comfort zone, which is never easy. My friend from seminary likened internship to a phoenix rising from the ashes. You're thrown everything, and your pretenses and everything you thought you knew is stripped down, and then eventually, probably about halfway through, you start to regain things. Your stones are thrown down, but you are given new stones to try and do different things with, and you rise like a phoenix. So I'm hoping that'll happen at some point. But there is grace and hope in the fact that we are not the ones in control. We're given a choice to let go of trying to prepare and to control everything, to turn back to Christ in faith. This is when we experience resurrection. This is where we find grace and healing. Turning back to Christ can also be turning to someone we trust, saying, I need your help. I can't do this alone. God puts people and communities of faith in our path to help us through, to help us endure. Sometimes they help us by giving us perspective, or help us laugh and find joy in the moments of chaos, the unknown. I learned a new word, ultreia. It's a medieval Spanish word that pilgrims shouted to each other as they made the long journey on foot to the shrine of St. James at Compostela in Spain. And they use this on the Via de Cristo weekends. It means onward. It was repeated quite a bit, and it stuck with me. So in this gospel, Jesus is asking us to endure, to cling to the rock of our faith. As we come together today, our stones may have been thrown down, but we can find hope in God and those around us that yell, Ultreia, onward. Amen.